Hello, everybody. Welcome to Away Games, a Chicago Cubs podcast hosted by two comedians who live in New York but love the Cubs anyway. I'm one of them. My name is Adam Amawala. Who are you?
Who am I? God, great question. Asking every day. I'm Kevin McCaffrey. I'm the other one of those two specific comedians who love the Cubs, who live in New York, which this past week was enemy territory a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked me, who are you, instead of saying something really aggressive and mean like see you tomorrow, which is what really fired up Mickey Callaway of the Mets after the Cubs game on Sunday. That was fun.
Jason Vargas, too.
Jason Vargas, man. Of all, I mean, it's been two straight days that had a lot of contention for the Cubs and their opponents. So obviously we're recording this on Tuesday, the day after the Cubs whipped the Braves, and the Braves are a bunch of babies about it, specifically towards Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras may be the last person in Major League Baseball you'd want to fight. His teammates gave him the nickname T''Killer. And I don't know what the T's there for, but...
how do you pronounce that?
T-Killer? I think. T-Killer? Yeah. I don't know why, but we retweeted from @awaygamespod. Follow us there on Twitter and Instagram @awaygamespod. But we last night during all the hubbub with the Braves, we retweeted Wilson's own Twitter account saying that was his nickname. So Wilson might be the last guy you'd want to fight. If I had to pick one major leaguer to fight for my life, I might pick Jason Vargas. That guy looks like an old wimp.
He looks doughy.
Yeah, an old, doughy wimp who can't throw. I mean, there was a point in time where I could almost throw as hard as he does now. He's throwing 84, 85 these days.
You know, but he might be kind of a chippy guy, because I didn't know a lot about him. But, like, during the game that he started against the Cubs, he got really upset about that. And, I mean, he was right, because it was that weird thing where Rizzo got hit but clearly swung at it, and there was some confusion. But, I mean, he was pretty animated. Yeah,
right. He got very fired up. And, yeah, correct. There was a call that the umps got wrong, then ultimately got right, but for the wrong reasons. It was very strange. But yeah, a New York reporter, after the Mets split with the Cubs at Wrigley, which by the way is a great result for the Mets.
Right.
He said, "See you tomorrow" to Mickey Callaway, and both Mickey Callaway and tough guy Jason Vargas attempted to fight a journalist, I guess.
I mean, was the implication that in him saying "see you tomorrow," he said it in sort of a flip way of like, "See you tomorrow if you still have a job, Mickey Callaway"? I mean, that's the only way I could interpret it to elicit that reaction.
Sort of a verbal Rorschach test, I think, for Mickey, because I think that's how Mickey.
Yeah, you hear what you want to hear.
Right, Mickey's just hearing you're fired from everywhere right now, I think. Right. So I think he heard it from there too, and it is funny that reporter specifically had to say, "No, I was saying see you tomorrow." Because I'll see you tomorrow at our job. That we go the same place tomorrow. You had to explain what "see you tomorrow" meant. Anyway.
Well, you got to respect the Mets for going the younger route, firing their pitching coach and hiring an 82-year-old.
Yeah,
to right the ship.
It is. It was a real impressive bunch of work they're doing, and then it came out that possibly the front office is making pitching calls during the game and stuff.
Yeah, that was weird.
And that's a weird man. And it was a disappointment. I think we talked last week about how you got to take 3 or 4 from the Mets. So the 2-2 was disappointing, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, splitting 6 games at home against the White Sox and Mets, there's no way to frame that as being good.
No, the Cubs should be better than that right now, and hopefully they're trending up that way, because we're coming off the last game, one of the more interesting games of the regular season, the game against the Braves on Monday, where the Braves are a very good team. They are in first place, and to me, I look at that roster top to bottom right now with everyone who's healthy. I do think it's a better team than the Phillies. I think the Braves should be the favorite in the East going forward this year. And they're really young. So
especially now that they got Keuchel.
Yeah, they got Keuchel now too, and they already have good young starters. Mike Foltynewicz has had a weird year and just got sent down to the minors, but he was an all-star last year with overpowering stuff. So I mean, they've got a deep young pitching staff, and then again signed Dallas Keuchel for absolutely nothing. So they're a real threat, and the Cubs put a pretty good whooping on them on Monday. So. You know,
did, yeah.
After splitting with teams that aren't good, then spanking the Braves game 1. Now, I mean, we could go ahead and lose 3 in a row now. Who knows? But, Yeah.
Well, you got the the Javi home run on Sunday was huge because
huge.
A split sucks, but losing 3 of 4 to the Mets would have really, really sucked.
That would have been genuinely depressing. Yes, and Javi takes that 2-strike pitch over the right field wall again. Tyler Flowers, I don't know, might have been upset because Javi enjoyed himself on that home run. So I don't know if Tyler felt that and got really mad about it or not. Maybe he was coming in salty.
I have to say, I don't know exactly what happened last night, and I don't know if more has come out today that I have not read about. I could see why somebody would be upset at what Wilson did. Right?
Well,
like it's not just a bat flip, it's like specifically looking back at somebody and then looking at their dugout. So like I do get that.
The looking at the dugout though, he always does that to Will Venable on home runs. He looks toward the first base coach Venable and does that. Now the chest pounds were a little stronger than normal, I believe. But he does look that way every time he homers. So I think that's not that out of this world. The quick look back at Tyler Flowers as soon as the ball came off
and then he
bat,
sprinted away from him too, which is kind of funny. He didn't take his time. He looked back and then sprinted to first. No doubt homer.
Wilson is he's a quick twitch athlete, one of the quickest twitch athletes you'll ever find behind the plate. I've hardly seen a quicker transition from getting the bat through the zone, knowing it's gone, having the presence of mind to talk shit for 1 second real quick and turn around fully and run away. Just all-star shit. The All-Star game, maybe Wilson, when he got home, explained what that is to Tyler Flowers. Possibly. Possibly. I don't know. We could talk to Matthew Trueblood of Baseball Prospectus, who thinks Wilson Contreras is the 20th best, catcher, well behind Tyler Flowers in the league. That was another thing that blew up on Twitter this year. Man, people love hot takes, real fun, right? I find nothing more boring than someone who really stakes their claim on a hot take and enjoys the heat of it, I'll say. But Tyler Flowers is not better than Wilson Contreras. Everybody knows this, except for people who think a couple of jobs tricking an umpire into calling a strike that's not a strike is worth like 40 runs. But so Wilson, what came out is that Wilson had turned around to the ump on a ball that was not a strike, that Tyler Flowers, with his magic, got the umpire to call a strike. And then Contreras was saying, man, that wasn't close to the umpire. And Flowers inserted himself there.
Which you don't do.
No. And he should know that. And he was laughing at him. And on the next pitch, he hit a fucking bomb, which is beautiful. And basically what Wilson said was he told him, do your job. He told him to just do his job. And then
he told both the umpire and Tyler Flowers to do their respective jobs.
Yes, either one of them who would like to do their job and stick to it would have been great. Another thing that this I just saw, so maybe you didn't see this. After all this bitching, Jeff Francoeur in the Braves booths, they cut back to when he and Wilson had a dust up a couple years ago, and in the booth now he said, I should have thrown a haymaker at him, which okay, broadcaster Jeff Francoeur, who by the way didn't, tough guy, you didn't do that.
Jeff Francoeur, so dumb that he was once pranked into believing that one of his teammates was deaf for a full season.
Is that real?
Yeah, you got to look it up. It's unbelievable. It's actually really funny that he's good-natured about it. But it was when he was in El Paso. I think it's like the AAA team for the Padres or something like that. And if you look up like Jeff Francoeur prank, you'll find it. But for some reason, they decided that it would be funny to convince Jeff Francoeur that one of their pitchers was deaf, and he believed it for like months of the season until they were like, yeah, he's not deaf.
Oh man, that's perfect. Jeff Francoeur, dumb for AAA. One of my favorite comments about was our good friend Ken Schultz, one of the least hot takey writers over at Baseball Prospectus. He at Ken Schultz _ on Twitter. He said the only way Jeff Francoeur would have taken a swing at Wilson Contreras is if Contreras was 3 feet outside the strike zone, which is just man. There are a few people. If there was a Comedy Central
roast
baseball
battle,
roast, your boy Ken Schultz would be the rest in peace Greg Giraldo of that thing. But Tyler Flowers, I don't know if you spent this. He spent all night last night replying to everyone who commented on the official MLB post of Wilson Contreras' homer.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much.
The dude, basically, he said something to the effect of Wilson Contreras, hopefully eventually he grows up. Hopefully Wilson Contreras grows up, and this bitch sits on Instagram all night, just typing away at anybody who wants to
sliding into Cut 4's DMs.
Yeah, exactly. At tflowers25, and he is verified. I didn't know they verified backup catchers, but they do, I guess. And
your flowers wilted.
And he just spent all night commenting. There's I saw a montage. It's a full minute-long video that just scrolls all the way down, and it's just Flowers responding to everybody.
Was he Trevor Bauer?
Yeah, it was a real Trevor Bauer-ass move. Grow up, Tyler Flowers. Good Lord. Yeah.
Well, we got 3 more games against these guys, so this could be interesting.
It's a sexy series now, which is fun. I want to sweep the shit out of these guys.
Also, KB got hit high again.
KB?
I don't think it was on purpose, but I can tell he's getting annoyed.
Yep. Also, I think a career high for hit by pitches already for KB. I think I saw it's up at 11 now. Also, before any of this happened, Josh Donaldson turned around and shushed to the Cubs dugout for some reason. I don't know what that was about, but this is before any of this other stuff happened. If they're talking about, act like you've been there before growing up, it's a lot of hypocritical shit from the Braves side. And Donaldson...
Well, and also they showed that clip from the series in April, and I had forgotten about that, where Dansby Swanson got mad at Bodie for a completely reasonable slide into second base.
Yeah. It's a real...
got very upset about something that was not even close to being a dirty slide.
I don't know if it's because the Braves play in a suburban mall, but they are acting like a bunch of bitchy teens. I don't know if just the mall vibe has gotten to them, if they're just gossiping around the Orange Julius out there and just get real fired up about everything. But it's fun. It's fun to have a team to just I hope these guys lose. Yeah, I just hope they lose to everybody now.
They're all standing around the ring toss and whack-a-mole in the outfield concourse talking shit about the Cubs.
Oh, hell yeah. And so Donaldson does that, then the bringer of rain himself, it was a bringer of 0 for 4 with a strikeout after that shush. Apparently he missed the Cubs bench and hit his bat with the shush. And my favorite, maybe even better than all the Wilson stuff, and Wilson went on to knock in another run off of Whitey Dansby Swanson's glove, and then knocked in another run on a force out. Javi Baez stole on Tyler Flowers, and then after he slid in head first, made a kissy face to him, which is a wonderful gif you can find that I believe at Cubs themselves reposted. So a real fun night at that. And John Lester was a badass too, as always.
Lester kicked ass. Heyward looks locked in again. Apparently he's just going to go every other month this year. But I mean, great. You love that swing on the double to left field. Obviously the home run, what does he have? 11 or 12 home runs at this
I think
point?
It's 11 now. And his numbers across the board, his slash line is almost exactly what it was the year he was in St. Louis right now.
Right.
I think it's what you just said, the every other month thing. I think that is a crucial part of Heyward, because Heyward has, for kind of long stretches this year, been the bad Heyward we've seen before, and then he's just been hot for a while. I think he went 3 for 4 the day before this, and when he pulled that homer last night, immediately off the bat, my wife was asleep, and I was watching, and I had the volume completely off, but just watching it without sound off the bat, I thought, that looks like that's actually going to be gone. And, the Heyward thing, the ball looks gone off the bat a lot and then goes nowhere. But it looked like, man, that is a different trajectory off the bat than we're used to seeing.
Yeah. No, and sure, you'd like it to be more consistent. But, I mean, Rizzo kind of is the same way. So,
sure.
if the overall numbers are where you want them to be at the end of the year, I think you're certainly going to live with that. I mean, there are other problems going on for the Cubs right now. They need some depth because Descalso and Cargo are not doing it.
Yeah, they haven't, and I think I was going to say we liked both moves at the time. I like the Cargo move at the time.
But now I want to move Cargo.
Yes, exactly. You went Cargo. And time to move it. I don't, and it sucks because Ian Happ has had sort of a Jason Heyward year at AAA, where he's had hot stretches and cold stretches. Overall, the numbers aren't great, but we are getting to the point where it's almost impossible to think that there isn't someone down on the farm that would be better than what we're getting from either of those guys.
Right.
And Cargo's on a minor league deal, so I think he's more likely to get bumped, if, for instance, Ben Zobrist comes back or something like that. But
You know what? That's true. That I think I don't know why I hadn't thought about that, but that is a huge. That I think that has been a lot more of an absence than we might have anticipated.
I think in every way. I mean, obviously he's a guy, one of the reasons they said they signed Descalzo and one of the reasons they said they signed Cargo was, veteran leadership stuff. And that is something you're missing with Ben Zobrist out too. And as we talked on last week's podcast, that the Theo and the Cubs have spoken a little bit more lately about how it seems like they do expect Ben back before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to get that anytime, would be great. And neither one of us was hot on the Descalzo signing at the time, especially when the Cubs dealt Tommy La Stella away for nothing.
I am happy to see him thriving, and I think he should be an all-star, and that would be amazing.
He absolutely should be an all-star right now, and it struck me as dumb at the time. We talked about it at the time. This is not hindsight, to be replacing Tommy La Stella with an older, more expensive Tommy La Stella, basically,
right? Who doesn't have the same pinch hitting numbers at all.
No, and I just don't. And also, La Stella was one of the most respected guys in that clubhouse too. So I don't know. I guess you're just trading for an older veteran, which I don't put a lot of value on straight up age only. And it's too bad because this is a year when La Stella could have possibly been getting a lot of playing time at second. And yeah, Descalzo hasn't really done the job, unfortunately. Right. And La Stella is really doing the job in Anaheim.
Yeah. No, he is. But so last night, I guess, was Barnett's first appearance, right? Toni Bernette.
Yep.
And I think he gave up the leadoff homer and then looked reasonably good other than that.
Yeah, it looks like, there's a guy who's had pretty good numbers in Texas, and then I think he spent some time in Japan, too. But, yeah, it looks like he has kind of a funky right-handed delivery, a little hesitation in that windup. There's another guy, Brad Brock has a funky delivery, too, and has not been good. But Barnett, his numbers have been, he's very averse to walks, which is nice, and then, of course, the first hitter, he goes, he falls behind in a 3-ball count and then gives up the homer. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what Barnett does. I'm not, I think you don't get down on him on his first appearance up in the majors, in a while. So I think that's an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, and it sounds like Kimbrel is pretty close. I think they're saying like towards the end of the week, probably. I
think before, yeah, we drop a new episode every Wednesday. I think we are certainly, unless something goes haywire, it seems like we are definitely going to see Kimbrel before we record again, sometime in the next week.
Right, and have you seen also that Morrow apparently is progressing well? I mean, again, the caveat is always like you feel dumb expecting anything, but. Yeah. You got to be excited about that.
This 34-year-old professionally injured man did throw a ball again, so that is great. He apparently he had 2 bullpen sessions. It was before that. It was just the thing where they tell you how many feet they're throwing from, which never sounds like a great thing. They're like, "Ooh, he's throwing 120 feet." It's like I don't know how to gauge what that means. But yeah, apparently Morrow has done 2 bullpen sessions. So okay. Cool.
Great.
That would be, right. The guy's on this is the second year of the 2-year deal with an option. And, let's get 2 more good months out of him would be great. Yeah. I would certainly take that. And, Carl Edwards is working his way back, as well. He's one of the aforementioned guys throwing from a certain amount of feet.
Yeah, it sounds like Hendricks is kind of slowly progressing, so I could see there being more spot starts for Alzolay or Chatwood, and that's something to talk about too, because I don't think that I think we recorded the day before or the day of Alzolay starting that evening, so
him coming in relief,
Chatwood, but. He looked great, and I am very excited to see what he does tonight against a very good Braves team. I'm not going to shit on the guy if he goes out and gives up 6 runs tonight, but it would be pretty encouraging to see him go out against this caliber of team, and even to go 5 or 6 and give up a couple runs, you'd be pretty excited about that.
Absolutely. The stuff looks great. It's been a while since the Cubs had a homegrown starter who had this kind of pure, just fun electric stuff. As Alzolay's come up through the system, his main pitches has been a mid-90s fastball and a very good curveball. But what we saw, his changeup was actually excellent in that first appearance. So he's got 3 pitches that can be real, it looks like, with good velocity, and he works extremely fast, which is fun. He doesn't seem to be scared of anything. Now, this Braves matchup, people listening to this will know how it went already. That it's happening in a couple hours from when we record this. But it's a tough it's a good lineup, and it's just a tough matchup for him, too. It's a lot of good left-handed hitters he's going to have to deal with. But, yeah, it's part of they're going with the 6-man rotation while Hendricks is out. So Alzolay and Chatwood are both fully in the rotation right now.
Right. What do you think of that, the 6-man?
I'm fine with it. I think it's I'm cool with it. I wish the Cubs would learn that Mike Montgomery is not a loogie, that he's a reverse
God
split
damn
guy.
it, that's so annoying.
It is super annoying, and I don't know what stats they have that lead them to believe this is the case, because Mike Montgomery has an extremely good changeup. Year before last, it was one of the best single pitches, one of the most effective single pitches in baseball. And that changeup is best against righties. The guy, so basically, I'm fine with the 6-man rotation, but I would like it to be with Montgomery pairing with one of these 2 starters, and being used as another starter, kind of. Right.
Totally. I think it's very strange to me that Madden, who is such an inventive guy and who, like, quite literally was one of the first people to use the shift and, like, use advanced metrics, is so weirdly stubborn in that one way.
Yeah. Right. He has a left hand, yeah.
Right, exactly. It's completely ignoring the numbers and also just what you're seeing with your eyes.
Mm-hmm, yeah. The guy who's the loogie, who also can go longer. The guy can go a couple innings. He can be more than a 1-inning guy. But Kyle Ryan's the guy you want specifically for one lefty. He's got that extreme release on the left-hand side that makes it very difficult on left-handed hitters. You see them taking a lot of uncomfortable at-bats. He gets a ton of ground balls. So Kyle Ryan's, as the bullpen is currently constructed, that's the guy you want to see go left on left in an important situation, which he did yesterday. He got a big double play ball. That's what you want to see. Montgomery, the guy could be a starter. I don't know why so I would like to see him paired with either Alzolay or Chatwood, basically whoever they think is going to be on a shorter pitch count. But other than that, yeah, I'm fine with the 6-man rotation. One thing the Cubs do have is a lot, they have, if Hendricks was healthy, they'd have up to basically 7 or 8 guys who can start in this bunch. So use that a little bit, push starts back and try to keep this really good starting 5 healthy.
And it was super encouraging to see Lester pitch the way he did last night after having struggled pretty mightily in the past month or so.
Right. I mean, Lester's kind of been the pitching version of Heyward, where he was elite at the beginning of the year, and then the numbers came crashing back to earth, and then, he's had a couple of really good starts.
Are you worried about Quintana after that terrible start against the Mets?
I'm not super worried. It was a bad start, but he had a clear strike 3 that was not called a strike 3, and then ran into some bad luck, and that ended up being a couple runs right there and really extended the pitch count in that inning. And then he just it seemed like it was just one of those days. Now, he has been on a bad streak also after he and Lester both had really excellent starts to this year. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like his stuff is that down, it doesn't seem like the velocity is that down. I think he's just, the command wasn't quite there. In the game before against the Dodgers, he struggled with command early, too. So I'm not. I'm hopeful that this is just a mini slump, but it's a thing where I think Quintana is probably, if everyone's healthy going into the playoffs, that's the guy who's not in your rotation. I think most likely, even if he's pitching well.
Well, to quote Darvish, I think Quintana was hearing boo more than he was hearing Q on Saturday.
It's too bad that 2 of the most maligned by fan base starting pitchers both have nicknames or names that rhyme with boo.
Right.
You got your U and your Q. Yeah. But yeah, how are you feeling about Quintana?
I've always liked Quintana, and I guess maybe I'm dreaming on what I thought he would be when the Cubs traded for him. But one of my bold predictions for this year was that we were going to see closer to that version of Quintana than we had to this point. And we have for stretches. But I obviously I think what happened Saturday is an anomaly. But I think the idea of him being a top tier or like a 1 or 2 is probably not really a thing anymore. I think he's the sort of guy where at this point, if he gives you a 6 and gives up 3 runs, you'll be fine with it, but just hope that it's not anything worse than that.
Yeah, I think at this point you're hoping he's a really good 4.
And he is. I mean, if he's a like, I think almost any team in baseball would be happy to have Quintana as a back of the rotation starter. Because Lester's been inconsistent, but Hendricks has been very good. Hamels has been extremely good.
Yeah,
and Darvish seems to be better.
I think Darvish is coming. He's coming around. Yeah.
Once again, we had Madden taking him out after 80-something pitches for Descalso.
Yeah. Darvish is the new Hendricks that Madden just can't figure out. Like, you can let him go. He's the quick hook guy now. But I do think Darvish is, I think it seems like he's settling into more of a good version of what he can and should be. He had a couple years in Texas where he was a super ace, but he hasn't been that in a while, and I don't really expect that to be the case now either. But we have
and he's driving in runs.
Yeah, that's I think it was Evan Altman pointed out online that Cubs pitchers this month have been actually provably statistically better at the plate than the combination of Addison Russell, Daniel Descalso, and Carlos Gonzalez.
Do we get to do our weekly fire Addison Russell into the sun?
Yeah, send him. Yeah, I guess there it was. We did it, but we should have just a soundbite so we could just hit it. He can't hit.
When we record in person the next time, you can get some sort of soundbite for Addison Russell.
Totally. Same as before. Addison Russell is a good defender, and that is all he should be at this point for the Cubs. There's a fun story down on the farm. I don't know if you know much about Robel Garcia. Have you heard?
Just hitting home runs every day.
Yeah, he's hit 19 bombs already down there. He is a switch hitting middle infielder, and he's 26 years old from the Dominican Republic, and he's just been smashing the hell out of the ball all year. And he's at AAA now. He started the season at AA, but he's up to 19 homers. He's just absolutely crushing the ball. And first of all, David Bodie should be basically your everyday second baseman. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying at this point. But to me, Addison Russell has options left. If you're going to keep him on this team, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't swap him while Javi's healthy right now. Swap him, option him, and let's see what Robel Garcia can do up here a little bit. Or Trent Giambroni, who's another middle infielder with pop down there too. There's a number of guys who I think we could be getting offense from. Addison Russell has had a good amount of major league at-bats right now, and he has not been good in a good while offensively, and I don't like him. So that is the other part. But
I'm on board with all of that.
But I understand, with this roster as it's constructed, if Javi's injured, I understand them saying, you know what, we have a Gold Glove caliber shortstop that we can put in there, Russell, and sacrifice that offense. But as the lineup is constructed right now, the Cubs do not need to be sacrificing that offense for Addison Russell, and I don't understand why he's even on the 25-man right now from a baseball perspective.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So we have 3 more games against the Braves, and then a weekend series in Cincinnati. But the Reds have been playing pretty well, and I feel like always give the Cubs trouble, especially in Cincinnati. So those are not gimmies either.
Yeah.
But what are you looking for over the next week or so?
Well, I mean, one thing that's interesting is the run differential on the year in the NL Central. It's the Cubs have the best run differential, and then the second best run differential is the Reds. They have just their Pythagorean record it would put them in second right now.
Wow.
So that's weird. And the Reds had a six game winning streak recently. They're 6-4 over their last 10. Now they're still 4 games under 500. I truly don't think the Reds are that good. I think the pitching has been better than they actually are.
Right. But they're also not that bad.
No, they're not bad. No, I don't think there's a team in the NL Central that's bad. But yeah. So over the next week, as you said, we've got it's finishing the Atlanta series in Cincinnati. I mean, at Cincinnati, I don't know. You'd love to take them all, but 2 or 3 are happy. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be happy going 1-2 there, but
how about the remaining 3 against the Braves? I mean, realistically, what are you looking at? Because, I think Alzolay and Chatwood are starting 2 of those. It's like Alzolay, Darvish, and Chatwood, I think.
I want to sweep their dicks off. I just don't want them to get a game.
T-shirt number 4.
Yeah, sweep their dicks off. I don't want them to win a game, obviously, but I really feel like the Cubs could go 3-1 against a very good Braves team, and this could kind of be a pick-me-up series. Like wake the fuck up a little bit after this splitting against the White Sox and Mets, and
right.
The Quintana start. I mean, I can't think of a game this year that felt like more of an absolute waste. It felt like no one wanted to be there, and I know that's. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it was one of those times where I was staying with my parents over the weekend, and they wanted to go out and do something on Saturday, and I was like, I was going to watch the Cubs, but then it was so nice outside, I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch the Cubs later. And it was one of those times where when I got home and saw the score, I was like, I'm so glad you encouraged me to go out, because this would have been a huge waste of my afternoon.
Oh, it was bad. I watched it. I was just lying in my bed watching most of it in the afternoon with my window open because it was nice. That's the version of me going outside. And you
let the outside come to you.
I do. That's a real alpha move that I do. Come here, nature. Yeah. As I'm, 100 yards from a highway leading to a bridge in Queens. A lot of nature here, but so I think I can't imagine a sleepier game than that one. And I feel like the Monday against the Braves, hopefully that's, all right, let's wake up and get fired up for a stretch here and put some distance between the Cubs and the rest of the division, because the division has not been playing well besides the Reds in their low run. Brewers lost a bunch of winnable games. The Cardinals have had trouble. The Cardinals just lost Jordan Hicks to a UCL. He's going to have Tommy John. So this is a time, would be a good time to put some friggin' distance between them and the teams I really do believe they're better than.
Well, exactly. On one hand, you can look at it and say, the Cubs are lucky to still be in first, considering that they haven't been playing well. But on the other hand, to your point, this is when you should be getting a cushion that you will very much need later, because we've talked about it before, but the schedule down the stretch is very much in favor of the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
It wasn't enough last year, but you'd love to go into September with a 5-game lead or more on whoever it is who's in second, and hopefully hold on to it this year, because the likelihood that the Brewers or anyone else are going to go on a stretch like the Brewers did at the end of last year is almost impossible.
Yeah, no one does that.
Conceive of. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it'd be nice to make some headway in this series against a good first place team, and then go maul the Reds would be fun too. So
I think this should be the time that the Cubs go on a little run here. I know the Braves are a tough team, but by the time we talk again, it'll be 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Reds, and then the beginning of the Pittsburgh series. So I'd love to be talking to you a week from now with a 5-2 stretch under the Cubs belt. Perhaps that's being optimistic, but that would be pretty nice.
They should do something like that.
Because it's been too long since they have. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's been very up and down since the really good stretch.
And I can't even. Perhaps it's been more recently than I can recall, but the Cubs have won 2 in a row, and even if they won tonight to win 3 in a row, it seems like they haven't done that in forever.
Right. Yeah, it's just been treading water for a while. So time to bust into a full swim for a bit would be nice. Yeah, I think that's all the notes I had down. You got anything else to hit before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I was just looking back to see if I was crazy, and since they swept the Cardinals at Wrigley, and that was the 7th through 9th of this month, have they won 3 in a row. So not a crazy long time ago, but nonetheless, you'd like to see them kind of get going again here, and certainly create some distance between them and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, let's do that. And then one thing I said on Twitter earlier this week too, from the Away Games pod account, was just, I really do think once the Cubs have the 25 best players that they employ as the 25 on their roster, good stuff will happen, because I think they have the best 25 when they actually have those 25 as their 25. You know what I mean?
I would agree. I mean, I guess the only thing there you're hoping for is health, because other than a few hiccups here and there, the Cubs have been extremely healthy this year.
They have.
And you can't assume that.
No. Yeah, health, get a couple of guys back, a couple of relievers back, Hendricks back, and whenever they get Zobrist back, and that would be real cool. And then Kimbrel up. This team could get pretty sexy pretty quick. So let's do that.
I'm very much looking forward to the first Kimbrel appearance.
Me too. That's gonna be between that and Alzolay, that's a couple of fun Cub debuts. Over these past couple weeks. So that's cool.
Yeah, sure.
At Away Games Pod on Twitter, at Away Games Pod on Instagram. Email us at awaygamespodcast@gmail.com if you like. If you haven't, please leave us a rating and a review. That would be lovely. And, if you have a Cubs fan friends or Cubs friend fans, either way, to tell them if you like listening to us. I know there's a bunch of Cubs podcasts out there, but you know what? We're one of them. So there you go.